Hey champions. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is just the word snare and how it connects to the Bible. So as I've read through the Bible, I've seen the word snare many of times, and I've just kind of brushed over it. I thought it was some form of trap and just kind of let it be. Well, the reality is that a snare, if you ask anyone that's a hunter, it's like this metal lasso that it only tightens down and it doesn't loosen. And the way that you set it up is that you set it to the height of the head of the animal that you're trying to catch, and you set it in the path of least resistance. So what that looks like in a ranch or in a field is animals usually take a certain path through the brush, and that path gets trampled on, and so every other animal starts to take the same path. And so that's called the path of least resistance. Well, those animals, they just want to figure out how to get from one place to another as easy as possible. And so when you have a rancher who's trying to get rid of those animals, they set a snare, and they just wait for the animal to step right into it, and it'll go around their neck, and as they fight and pull, it tightens down and suffocates them. And I think about that, I'm like, okay, if I was an animal, how would I make sure that I never ever step foot in a snare? I would think that the only way for me to not step foot in the snare, some people have said like, oh, I need to check while I'm going down the pathway. And I'm like, it only takes one time to get stuck in the snare and then you die. I wouldn't want to take that route. I would rather just never ever step foot into a snare. And so the only answer to that question would be, I need to take the path of resistance. That means if all the animals are going this way, I'm going that way. If all the animals are going through the path that looks very easy, I'm going to go through the brush. I'm going to go through the hard part that requires me making a way, and it's not a pathway that everyone else has taken. Now, I know that sounds very simple and weird, yet in the Bible, they use the word snare all the time. God uses it through all of the prophets when it talks about them worshiping other gods, other mighty ones, false gods, and he says that it's going to become a snare to them. Like quite literally, it sends them to death. It leads them to unrighteousness. It leads them to sin. I mean, there's so many times that word is used, and so I think about, okay, from a spiritual standpoint, how can I use this practically? If everyone else is following this way spiritually, it may not be the right path. It could be the path of least resistance. If everyone is doing this, listening to this music, or following these people, or doing these things, that might not be the right path. That could be the path of least resistance. And I think about scriptures like in the Bible where it says that many will try to enter, but few are going to enter into heaven. And I think that's kind of scary to think about, that few are going to enter into the kingdom. So it sounds like the path of most resistance. And so I think about even for Jesus, what does that look like? Well, with Jesus, they thought he was going to come and take over Rome. Like, okay, if he's the Messiah, he's going to save all of his people from Rome. Well, they thought he would be some like super military power and take over everything. And the reality is that he overtakes everything through the path of most resistance. Like he does what no one else will do. We're all naturally selfish human beings, including myself. And the last thing I'm thinking about is dying for someone else. Nonetheless, dying for many and many of people, not just in that present time, but in the past and in the future. And I just think like, wow, like he is the perfect example of taking the path of resistance. He did things like fasting. He did things like loving those who were unloved. He did things like having grace for those that everyone considered to be unclean. And then most importantly, he did the craziest thing, which is to think of others first, which in my opinion is the greatest thing you can take from this. If you want to take the path of most resistance, it means going against your sinful nature. It means thinking of others first. It means laying down your life for those around you. And I think that is something to take away from when you start seeing the word snare in the Bible. My name is Taylor Nunez, and if you want to learn more about biblical leadership, follow me.